In the movie The Sleepies, a small city goes insane with ordinary people turning on each other in brutal acts of violence. No, this isn't the much-needed sequel to The Crazies, but a film exploring what could happen if the Earth was hit by a massive solar flare. In this Netflix original, also known by the lamer title Awake, a solar flare renders electronics useless and rewires our brains. This rewiring results in worldwide insomnia, turning our already sleep-deprived world into a confused mess of violent, irritable humans. If you thought trixied-up farmers were scary, just wait till you see how suburban America handles 3 nights without sleep. If a solar flare like this hit today, do you think you'd make it? Do you think last semester's series of all-nighters prepared you for a world of sleepy psychos? Do you think your Bespoke Post wire saw will help you survive a run-in with deranged soldiers? You do? Well, you're wrong, and I'm here to tell you why. From Demolition Derbies to accidental nuke launches, I'm going to cover the top 10 reasons you wouldn't survive the movie, The Sleepies. However, before I pile onto your existing sleep anxiety, hit the like or subscribe button, and do it now, because by the end of this video, most of you will be too busy curating your ASMR super mix for the coming sleepless apocalypse. Reason number 1, Demolition Derby. Like a lot of apocalyptic films, we start with a series of car crashes. Jill, a widow and army veteran, is driving home with her 2 kids, Matilda and Noah. As they're driving, a bright flash of light is followed by static on the radio and loss of brakes and power steering. It quickly becomes apparent her car isn't the only one with these issues.
Brake, Mom, brake.
Hold on. Mom?
Stop.
Things unfold as one might expect in a world full of distracted drivers. What should be a series of fender benders turns into a demolition derby as everyone tries to figure out why their phone isn't working. While Jill is able to focus on bringing her car to a controlled stop, she's in the minority. Take this pickup for example. He can cut right into the flow of traffic, continue straight into the guardrail ahead, or veer left using Jill's Volvo as an impact cushion. Whether due to distraction or panic, he chooses the last option, launching Jill's car off a cliff. The Volvo falls into the lake below and quickly begins sinking as Jill rushes to get everyone out of the car. While traumatic, the scene ends with Jill's family safely on the shore. Now, I'm not going to say you wouldn't survive such a situation. Getting T-boned by a runaway pickup, falling 30 feet into a lake, and climbing out of your sinking car is survivable. You definitely wouldn't be one of the hundreds of people who die in similar situations each year. However, the high-speed demolition derby taking place on our nation's highways is a different story. For example, if you're at the tail end of a 10-car pileup on a blind corner of some freeway underpass, you're not going to survive. That sound behind you is a brakeless 18-wheeler. When it connects with your smart car, your life will come to an end as you experience what it feels like to be in a garbage compactor. After the traumatic car crash, Jill takes her kids home and tries to get some rest. Unable to fall asleep, she ironically drives to the sleep clinic where she works as a security guard. Sneaking around the facility, we learn Jill's moonlighting as a drug dealer, stealing expired pills and selling them on the black market. As she's foraging for medications, she's startled by a soldier and the head of the sleep clinic who asks her what she's doing. She's caught red-handed, but they don't seem to care. They're gathering documents and appear to be in a hurry. The arrival of the military makes Jill wonder if the citywide power outages are due to something more sinister than a few blown transformers. When she asks what's going on and whether they're at war, the soldier brushes it off as a ridiculous thought.
Was that EMP yesterday? Are we at war?
People are saying it's been happening all over. Who'd we even attack?
Yeah, I don't think we'd purposely attack anyone, Mr. Random Army Dude with a scar, but that doesn't mean war isn't possible. This event closely resembles an EMP strike current militaries perceive as a likely threat in 21st century warfare. Add to this already strained foreign relations, limited intel, and lack of communication, and it's not hard to believe some dude in some military may think his country's under attack. It only takes one trigger-happy patriot to start something that guarantees we all go to sleep permanently. Let's talk about all the reasons Jill's question wasn't so ridiculous, and that even in the absence of an actual attack, a solar flare may cause World War III. Reason number 2, Crimson Tide. While all this is going on, a nuclear-armed sub in the South Pacific just lost all communication with its command network. While some electronics are working, such as the ones responsible for launching nukes, they're still trying to get comms online. The mood in the sub is tense, as some feel this could be part of a preemptive strike. There's little time to confirm whether it was a natural event or act of war. Yes, this is roughly the plot of the movie Crimson Tide, but it isn't too far from reality. In 1983, Russia almost launched all its nukes due to a malfunctioning piece of equipment equipment that misinterpreted a weather anomaly. Sound familiar? While safeguards and training have improved since then, the underlying human behavior is still the same. A commander in charge of a battery of nuclear missiles playing cat and mouse with an enemy sub may very well think he is now at war. No one outside of a select few really knows whether this commander would have the authority to launch, but we do know he'll be predisposed to thinking this was an attack versus some type of natural event. If he thinks it was a first strike and has the ability to launch, we're fucked. A deadly cure for insomnia will rain down from above as countries exchange nukes and wipe out everyone you know. Unless a Denzel Washington type is on that sub to calm down a sleep-deprived Gene Hackman, you're not going to survive. While all this is going on, Jill's getting filled in on what is happening stateside and why the sleep expert has an armed guard.
You don't understand how serious this is. It's about the people.
Nobody can sleep.
The scientist explains she isn't the only one with an acute case of insomnia. It turns out there is no one in the country who can sleep except for one woman who is in a research hub codenamed The Hub. When Jill questions his theory as she saw her daughter sleep last night, she sees a gleam in the scientist's eyes. Jill knows this look. She saw it overseas from doctors and intelligence officers looking at a high-value asset. Her daughter holds the cure, and that's not a good thing. Reason number 3. You will die in the name of science. If you're like Matilda and the scientific community finds out you can sleep, you're not going to make it. As one of the only humans in the world that can catch some Z's, they'll view you as the most promising means of discovering a cure. If you don't come in willingly, the largest manhunt in history will find you. You'll be brought to a research facility with scientists desperate to find a solution to the world's insomnia. They'll tell you you're doing the world a favor as they start poking and prodding your body under bright fluorescent lamps. Now, while desperate, they won't start by cutting open your skull like the chimp next to you. However, as time passes and they realize everyone they love will die if they don't find a cure, they'll become more aggressive in their methodologies. Blood samples and MRIs will turn into brain biopsies and non-stop endoscopic probing. The fatigue that comes from 3 days straight of experimentation will result in mistakes. Mistakes a normally sleep-deprived doctor would avoid. Whether it's an air bubble in a syringe or a neurosurgeon jamming an endoscopic fiber in the wrong place, there are plenty of reasons you'll end up like the dead monkey to your right. Your only hope of survival is the army of ASMR experts in the room next door searching for the perfect mix of tinglies. Unless they find a lip-smacking cure in time, you're gonna die in the name of science. Reason number 4. You will die in the name of God. Science isn't the only threat to someone who can sleep in a sleepless world. After her discussion with the research assistant, Jill rushes home to find her daughter is missing. Jill's son Noah informs her the grandmother took Matilda to church after she discovered the young girl could sleep. If desperate scientists weren't enough of a danger, Jill now has to deal with the threat of the faithful. Just like everything, religion is a double-edged sword. On one hand, a loving congregation may offer the best hope of protecting Matilda. On the other hand, a desperate congregation may view Matilda as their only means of salvation and bring back some of the more archaic practices from the Bible. When Jill makes it to the church, she finds the congregation is a little divided on what to do with the miracle that is Matilda. On one side, the pastor wants to diffuse Matilda's miracle through prayer. On the other side, Janet wants to sacrifice Matilda to please the sleep gods.
We should sacrifice her.
God willingly sacrificed himself for our sins. There is no...
I'm willing to be Pontius Pilate and condemn the
Robert,
girl.
sit down. Sit down!
What type of church is this? I'd take Trixie to farmers any day over this group of savages. Jill pleads with the congregation to let her daughter go, but her words fall on deaf ears. This is quite the predicament. Surrounded by a mass of believers who think Matilda's sacrifice is the best thing since Ambien, Jill doesn't know what to do. They can't run, and they can't hide. This is where How to Beat Expert Cinema Summary comes to the rescue. Turns out, it just requires a little acting.
There's a great way to use their insomnia and fear to our advantage. As long as we tell them exactly what they want to hear, we can control the room. I would tell them they'll only receive divine healing after they surrender their hearts, guns, and wallets to God. Once they're disarmed, I'll tell them all to bow their heads in prayer, and when their eyes are closed, I'll quietly leave the building.
This is a good plan, but not foolproof. It's like Sex Panther.
60% of the time, it works. every time.
The other 40% of the time, your nervous monologue, terrified complexion, and general get the fuck out of here vibes will be picked up by a highly skeptical congregation. They are anxious, impatient, and desperate. They'll see through your deceit and fast track your execution in the name of all that is holy. Unless you've got the preaching skills of Joel Osteen, you're not going to survive. Luckily for Jill and Matilda, they don't need to resort to such theatrics. One of the scientists from earlier shows up and demands the congregation release Matilda so he can take her to the research hub. When the congregation refuses, he starts lecturing them on why they need to put their faith in science, not religion. As can be expected, this doesn't go over well with the group. They're about to execute a child sacrifice. Science went out the door a long time ago. The showdown comes to a head when the devout religious and very sleepy town sheriff blows the scientist's mind with his own thoughts on the matter. The confusion that follows allows Jill and her family to escape to a nearby gas station where they steal a car and hit the road. Driving past an increasingly sleep-deprived population, Jill comes to the conclusion she and Noah are not gonna make it. Without sleep, in less than 48 hours, they'll have an IQ of a 5-year-old and Matilda will be on her own. This realization forces her to rethink her plan. She drives to the local library where she gives Matilda a crash course on survivalism while simultaneously figuring out how to break into the research hub. Her goal is to free the only other woman who can sleep so that this woman can become Matilda's mentor. Okay, we need to stop and appreciate the fact that Jill is straight up killing it right now. With symptoms equivalent to 8 days without sleep, she's teaching her daughter about firearms, defensive driving, and car maintenance, all while plotting a break-in of the heavily guarded hub. It's also important to note that fictional G.I. Jill is in stark contrast to how you'll be performing after 4 days without rest. At this point, you'll be deep into stage 5 of sleep deprivation. In addition to the horrible medical conditions associated with this stage, you'll be experiencing reason number 5 why you won't make it. You ran out of fucks 24 hours ago. In the scientific community, the fucks given level is a crucial diagnostic tool for understanding the seriousness of a given individual's sleep deprivation. This all-encompassing metric determines how many fucks you give at each stage based on the complex interaction of underlying symptoms. For example, at stage 1 of sleep deprivation, you still care about what others think of you, how to save your family, and finishing that report you promised your manager. However, at stage 5, you don't care about any of those things. With organ failure, delusions, and extreme fatigue, your units of fucks given has dropped to critical levels. The mental and physical laziness associated with these levels is impossible to imagine. Suffice to say, you're not going to be plotting the longitude and latitude of a secret military base holding the cure to your insomnia. No, you're going to be too preoccupied sweeping up the lava spiders coming out of the floor. If you run out of fucks, you're not going to survive. As Jill and Noah continue planning how they're going to break into the hub, they hear a noise outside. Looking out the window, they see a bunch of convicts roaming the street on their way to the car where Matilda is taking a study break. Running outside, they just miss the car driving off with Matilda. However, as the other convicts approach, the car swings back around. Luckily, the felon who stole the car has a heart of gold and came back for the rest of the family. I'm skeptical of this actually occurring, but it wasn't enough to trip my why you wouldn't survive alarm, so we're gonna let it fly. The felon, who goes by the name Dodge, says he's willing to help Matilda as he knows his time is also limited. As the gang gets to know each other, they come across a downed airplane. This brings us to reason number 6 why you wouldn't survive. You were airborne. At any given time, there are about 1 million people in the air. As airliners have become more reliant on fly-by-wire technology and pilots more accustomed to autopilot-like features, the loss of electronics has become a dangerous situation. An E1 electromagnetic event would fry the guidance systems, communications, and all their features that have contributed to the decline in accidents over the years. With an event like this, the safety level of flying would instantaneously revert back to the inception of commercial aviation. Now, to all you flight simulator jockeys scrolling down to rip me in comments about triplex, quadruplex, and mechanical redundancy systems, pump the brakes. I agree with you. Barring bad weather, a good pilot facing such a situation should be able to land a plane with minimal casualties. The problem occurs when all planes experience this at the same time. Most pilots will be pretty anxious to get on the ground, and airports don't have the capacity to handle all planes landing simultaneously. Real estate on the tarmac is going to fill up quickly, and if someone makes a mistake, everyone gets screwed. Let me put it to you this way. If you're 10 planes deep on approach to LaGuardia, and the aircraft about to land is piloted by a rookie who barely made the cut for Hooters Airlines, you better hope he remembers his training. There's not enough room in the Hudson for all the aircraft behind him. Reason 7. You didn't sign up for Bespoke Post. Moving past the wreckage of your downed flight, the crew continue their scenic road trip. As day turns to night, they see something ahead blocking the road. What initially appeared to be a roadblock turns out to be a throne of car parts and dead bodies for the leader of a gang of sleepless killers doing roadside blood transfusions. These guys have a serious case of the Sleepies. Turning around is not an option, as the only road for miles, any detour will take away from the limited time they have left to rescue Matilda's mentor. They need to make it through this band of armed goons. Your survival in this situation depends on one thing: whether or not you have a Bespoke Post membership. In his How to Beat video, Cinema Summary plugs this subscription service, listing all the life-saving tools included for such a scenario.
Bespoke Post is a monthly membership club delivering awesome boxes of top-shelf goods from under-the-radar brands. The trail kit they sent me comes with a field box gut hook knife, a pocket saw with nylon straps, paracord bracelet, and importantly, this book, Surviving the Great Outdoors by Brendan Leonard. And when the apocalypse hits, you're going to wish you stocked up with Bespoke Post.
Without this Bespoke Post membership, it is guaranteed you are doomed. Lacking the knowledge and weapons only a subscription box like Bespoke Post can provide, you'll be utterly unprepared for the horrific violence about to take place. As the mob of criminals rip you out of the car, cut open your veins, and hang you like a deer, your last thought before passing out will be, why didn't I place that order? I had a 20% off code. Let's contrast this to Jill, who placed her order 2 months ago and has already received 2 shipments of these life-saving tools. She's not only going to survive, but kick some ass in the process. She pulls out her new field kit and starts handing out weapons: the wire saw for Matilda, the Damascus knife for Dodge, and the paracord bracelet for Noah. She saves a gut knife for herself. Jill's got some disemboweling to do. They bring their car to a stop 50 yards from the roadblock and pull out the included field manual, How to Survive the Great Outdoors. Flipping to Chapter 8, How to Use Your Field Kit Against Vicious Killers, they quickly brush up on wire saw, hook knife, and paracord combat tactics. 3 paragraphs in, and they're more deadly than SEAL Team 6. We now pivot to the perspective of Earl sitting on his throne of car parts and dead bodies. Earl thinks he just found his latest set of victims. Little does he know, he's up against the finest weapons money can buy and tactical knowledge only a premium survival book can provide. He and his gang aren't prepared for this Bespoke Posted crew. All of a sudden, the car doors open and he sees a car's occupants disperse. They're using a flanking maneuver from Chapter 6, Small Group Tactics. This is the first sign he may have underestimated them. The scream from behind him confirms this theory. Matilda sneaks up behind 2 members of his posse and slices their Achilles with her wire saw as Jill comes out of nowhere and cuts open their bellies with her gut knife. 10 feet away, Noah repels down from the trees using his paracord, wielding the extra slack-like piano wire to choke out another gang member. As Matilda, Noah, and Jill finish off the rest of the crew, the leader of the gang hears a whistle in front of him. It's Dodge, armed with his beautifully made Damascus steel knife from the forge box. Dodge front flips his way to the last member of the gang, bringing the battle to an end with one final swipe of his blade. Mission accomplished. They all high-five and continue on to the hub. This could have been you had you only ordered your Bespoke Post membership. Instead, you're this guy. Reason number 8. You stormed Area 51. After slaying the gang of vicious killers, the group makes it to the outskirts of the hub, an Area 51-like facility full of mad scientists force-feeding sleeping pills to zombie-like test subjects. Jill's plan is to rescue the healthy young female rumored to be at the facility and have her help Matilda once everyone dies. How to Beat expert Cinema Summary makes the case you wouldn't survive such a mission and they should just drive on.
Sneaking into the compound is a very bad idea. The best thing this mom can do is get her daughter as far away from these soldiers as possible.
While I tend to agree on their survival chances, I don't think Matilda will make it 2 months without the help of a mentor. She's about to enter a post-apocalyptic wasteland full of psycho preppers, wild animals, and all the other dangers we overcame with the advent of a reliable power grid. If she has any chance, she needs a guardian, and that guardian needs to be rescued from the hub. Lucky for us, How to Beat Her Cinema Summary provides a plan if we do decide on moving forward with the rescue mission. He lays out the use of distractions as a way to take advantage of the hyperactive agency detection device in the soldiers' brains.
It might actually be possible to take out all these soldiers by throwing rocks and making distractions to lure them away for long enough to walk right through the front door.
Maybe. Maybe you rub some Tabasco sauce in your eyes, sneak past the perimeter alarms, tripwires, infrared sensors, landmines, barbed wire fence, and airborne drones, making it to the front gate. Maybe. However, I don't think you're getting past the platoon of special forces. Yes, they're tired, but unlike you, they've trained extensively for sleep deprivation and are hopped up on a PCP meth steroid cocktail formulated by scientists no longer worried about long-term brain damage. It's more likely you throwing a pine cone to distract soldiers will result in your capture, torture, and the inevitable death of Matilda at the hands of mad scientists. If you storm the sleep clinic equivalent of Area 51, you're not going to survive. But once again, Jill's no ordinary woman. She pulls off the impossible, making it past a squad of Marines to gain access to the facility. However, her sense of accomplishment is short-lived when she finds the future guardian angel of Matilda is a terminally ill 90-year-old woman. At this point, the soldiers realize she's an intruder and detain her. To add to this shitty situation, she learns her family's been captured and they're beginning experiments on Matilda. The lead sleep scientist comes into Jill's cell and starts asking questions about her daughter, seeking any information that may help explain her ability to sleep. While asking her questions, she explains the cause of everyone's sleepiness was a solar flare that messed up their lymphatic system. There was nothing the world could have done to prepare. Or was there? Reason number 9. You laughed at the preppers. If you've ever watched the show Doomsday Preppers, you know they take EMPs seriously.
I'm preparing for an electromagnetic pulse that will disable the transportation system of the United States.
Preppers like David have dedicated their lives to preparing for such an event. The only thing they didn't consider is the chance of an electromagnetic pulse rewiring their brain. While you finished the movie and went on to the next Netflix original, they entered a state of emergency. No longer was their Faraday cage bunker good enough. They needed to rethink their entire approach to mobile EMP shielding. Within hours, they started updating their wardrobes with functional yet stylish Faraday caps, 5G protected boxers, and EMP shock resistant socks. By the end of the week, they are once again fully prepared. The only thing bugging them was that if such an event were to happen, you wouldn't be around to hear the broken record of I Told You So's broadcasted from their EMP shielded ham radio. The scientist was wrong. There are plenty of things we could have done to protect ourselves. We were just too busy making fun of preppers to listen. Laugh all you want, but when the next solar flare hits, you'll wish you'd paid them a little more respect. Reason number 10. It's too late for you. As Jill's interrogation continues, she hears gunfire. Outside, one of the soldiers thinks a pine cone is a grenade and starts shooting wildly at the delusional enemies his mind has conjured up. This releases a floodgate of chaos as all the soldiers succumb to the Sleepies and start shooting at one another. Jill is helplessly chained to a pole when the riders come to her rescue. A soldier comes in and in an attempt to kill her, miraculously hits the pipe attached to her handcuffs. Jill isn't just a badass, she's a lucky badass. In the madness that follows, Noah gets electrocuted and his heart stops. Matilda and Jill rush to restart his heart with a nearby defibrillator. In their haste, they don't take proper precautions and both get shocked. Matilda falls unconscious and Jill bottoms out on the fucks given chart. She's done all she can and finally succumbs to the fatigue. But not all hope is lost. Matilda comes back to consciousness to find Noah is alive. When he says he was dreaming, Matilda realizes they discovered the cure. Stop and start the heart. Turn it off and turn it on. Yep, the solution was in the IT troubleshooting manual this entire time. Testing this experimental therapy on their mom, they shut down her system by drowning her in a nearby lake and then performed CPR to turn her back on. Her gasp marks the end of clinical trials. This therapy is ready for prime time. All they need to do is get word out to the public via worldwide broadcast. Too bad that won't be possible for another 10 years. This new therapy was discovered too late for just about everyone, including you. With radio transmissions down, no defibrillator nearby, and critically low levels of flux to give, you're not gonna make it. Even Cinema Summary doesn't have a cure for you. He was too busy saving Matilda and hawking his survival kit. It's time to face reality. There are only 3 types of people that'll survive something like this: Doomsday Preppers, the flatlining community, and Jill's family. If you're not in one of these groups, you're not gonna make it. And that concludes our analysis. If you still think you would have been able to survive, you're either delusional or found the holy grail of ASMR triggers. I hope you liked my glass half empty analysis of why you wouldn't survive the movie The Sleepies. If you'd like me to expand on your survival chances in other horror movie scenarios, consider subscribing, as it helps me make more videos. Thanks for watching, and remember to live life to the fullest. If something like The Sleepies were to happen, chances are you're not gonna make it.